So we did a two-part class on ChatGPT, especially for realtors and mortgage lenders. This is the second part of that class where we do a deeper dive on a higher level use case for ChatGPT. Make sure that you watch this, and if you haven't, make sure that you watch part one, where we'll help you set up ChatGPT properly so that you can take advantage of all the things that we talk about on this part two. Enjoy. All right. So let's get this party going. We're going to move fast today. We're assuming that everybody here saw the presentation from last month, last couple of weeks, whatever. If you haven't, I sent it to you yesterday. You should have the YouTube link to that. And if you didn't get it, I'm going to resend it to you. Okay. So I promise you'll get that presentation. But the first thing is kind of like the basis to get it started, so that what we're going to talk about makes a little bit more sense, or so that you can actually use it at a high level. Okay, let's see. Perfect. So we talked about our pre-AI reality. Look, this is really in our mortgage world, but this is something that we also see for a lot of the realtors that we help implement AI. And look, CRM notes, they're sometimes when we were even putting notes in the CRM and we were asking our team members to put notes in the CRM, the notes didn't make a lot of sense. Here, for example, it's an actual note that we took from one of our teammates that put in the CRM, Hail Mary, call in a month. I mean, if you talk to a client and those are the notes that you put in the CRM to follow back up with your client, it's going to be very difficult for you to have a real conversation with that client if this is the notes that you're working with, Hail Mary. What does that even mean? And that's when we were putting some notes. We also had some other notes for a lot of our prospects that said check and see, which again, a lot different. Like, it makes it very difficult for us to do a proper follow-up when those are the notes that we see in the CRM. In addition to that, when we were doing the follow-ups, it was actually pretty bad, because when we started digging in and seeing all of the people that we weren't talking to over the last couple of years, and I don't know about you, but the last couple of years, it's not like real estate has been booming. So we want to close every single loan and every single deal that we can. When we started doing a deep dive on all the people that we weren't following up properly, these are all the messages that we started receiving. And nobody tried to connect with me regarding the underwriting process other than this. Already found a home, sorry. Hey, Scott, I'm all set. Thank you anyway. I found a loan. Thank you. I already closed on a house. Hey there, thanks for trying, but we closed on a house already. And I texted Edgardo and never heard back.
And that
doesn't happen. He put that in.
Let me paint a picture for you guys, though, because we're running a high volume business. Okay, we are bringing in around 400 leads a week right now. A lot of you guys know about the leads program that we have through Better. So we're getting, by leads, I mean like loan applications. So when you're dealing with that volume, like back in the day when I used to get a lead a day, it's a lot easier to stay perfect with everything. But when you're averaging 20, 30, 40, 50 leads per day, stuff slips through the cracks.
Well, the problem is we had to start kind of like picking and choosing, right? Like, we have the business that we receive from our realtors or from partners and the people that we know. And then we have all of these online leads and all of these online applications. So what we thought we had to do was make a decision, because we've never had this amount of business coming in, this amount of leads. We had to make a decision. Well, we're going to prioritize the people that we know from our sphere that are referrals, and we kind of like let go of, or try to capture as many of these online leads as we can, but a lot of them are going to slip through the crack, and that's kind of like what we accepted. This is the problem. When we started doing the counting of how many leads and how many people were closing with other lenders, this is what we figured out that month. It was $141,000, almost $142,000 in revenue, which, by the way, it's not like I can't afford $142,000 a month in revenue to let slip through the cracks. So that quickly changed the way that we started seeing this, and that we quickly started thinking, okay, how can we use AI in order to help us with this?
And before AI, right? Because, I mean, you see that number, you throw up in your mouth. Instantaneously, you throw up in your mouth. The old answer would be, okay, we need to allocate another $20,000 a month to salaries, right? We got to hire 2, 3, 4, 5 people, whatever the number is. We got to just start hiring, and all of the expense and time and aggravation that goes with that. And now that AI is here, we were able to accomplish that without hiring anybody.
we were able to also calculate what the cost of hiring somebody was. And when we did that, it's about $6,220 per hire. I don't know who here has a team. Who here had tried to have a team? It's expensive, especially look in mortgages. We have to hire people W-2. It's expensive. It's hard to hire. It's hard to recruit. And then when you find somebody that's good, you know, sometimes they're not as good as you thought they were, and then sometimes they're really good, and then after a couple of months they just leave. It's very expensive.
They become your competitor.
It's very expensive to build a team, and typically in the industry, at least in our industry, it's about $6,200 per hire when you bring somebody in, and up to 20%, I think is what it says,
yeah,
20%. Of the annual salary, if it's somebody that's it's worth keeping in your team. So anyways, all of this was very expensive. So what we did was we started thinking AI first, and we did this in the past 3-4 months. We were able to double our production, increase profitability. 85% of our loans are now closing early, not just on time, which again, we're very happy with this. And look, we're not engineers, we're loan officers, but the key here is we think more custom GPTs instead of more people. So we're leveraging what we can do with ChatGPT as opposed to increasing the amount of people that we have in our team. As a matter of fact, what we did with our team is we sat down with them and we asked them, hey, what are the tasks that you're doing on a day-to-day basis that if I were to hire a personal assistant for you, what would you have them do? And basically what we start thinking is, okay, how can we have ChatGPT particularly, and all AI tools, but mainly ChatGPT, do those manual tasks for them? And then there's a little thing that we're going to show you at the end where there's the things that ChatGPT cannot do and that the AI cannot do. We have a solution for that.
That's not a little thing. That's
well.
a huge, huge hint at the end, or tip at the end.
So, Bushilokia. Okay, cool. You're gonna get just like we always do in our classes. You're gonna get the recording, and you're also gonna get a picture, or all the slides, the slide deck. Okay, so let's get started. Last week or last couple of weeks, what we ask you to do is to sign up for the paid version. So I hope that everybody invested the $20 a month to sign up for the paid version to personalize your ChatGPT. So by now, because this is the thing, if you don't do the personalized ChatGPT, then you're just gonna say like, oh my God, it just doesn't sound like me, and I don't like the way it writes because it writes like an AI bot, so I don't like to use ChatGPT. Just personalize it, and it's gonna start sounding a lot more like you than you do. Create a master prompt, create an output prompt. We talked about that. Again, you can look at that in the last video, and then use Canvas and connect it to external apps. Okay, so these were the 6 action items from last time. Who did all 6? Who did 5 out of the 6?
All right. I want to ask a question that everyone's going to probably raise their hand to.
Are we serious?
Who here has had an opportunity to slip through the cracks that you found afterwards?
Nobody.
Did you miss out on a deal? Right?
I didn't know there was a first class. But I have part of that. I have 1, 2, 3. It's done already.
Okay.
I'll look at my show.
Your body.
Awesome. Yeah, and we'll send you the deck from the first class too.
Okay, this is important. Like, this is like step 1 of using ChatGPT. Okay, again, we'll send you the recording, we'll send you the deck. Please do this because this is the most important thing you can do with ChatGPT right now.
80% of the complaints I hear about AI is because they did not do this well. Okay, this is a step that needs to take some time. I put in there my personality, I put in there my hobbies, I put in there my family members, I put in there everything I do professionally and personally. I really took time to tell it who I am as a person.
Yeah, I promise you, if you don't have this and you're using ChatGPT, you're really not using ChatGPT. So make sure that you do those 6. Okay, well, ChatGPT 2.0 is what we're going to go over today. We're going to talk about some pro tips that are going to help you do even more than this, so even more homework. I love it. We're also going to talk about projects. We're going to talk about custom GPTs, deep research, and how to use AI agents. That's what we're going to go over today. So let's get the show going. Pro tips 2.0, the prompt level. Last time we talked about the 7 things that you need to have on a perfect prompt. In addition to that, these are 4 things that we're adding to the prompts at the beginning or at the end of the prompts that are making so that the answers from ChatGPT are much better. We're asking it to think step by step, to be thorough, to take its time, and to tell them that it's critical for them to get it right. Last time I told you that if you threaten ChatGPT with physical violence, it gives you a better answer. A lot of people laugh, but it's true, because if you hear the CEO of Google was explaining that all of these models, when you threaten them with physical violence, it's not that they're afraid, but they understand that the stakes are high and they try to do a better job for you. So apparently, after a little bit of research and him talking to me about, maybe our wording and our scripting needs to be a little better, we came up with asking it to just tell it, hey, it's critical that you get this right. That way you don't have to threaten it with physical violence.
I still tell it, do a good job or I'm going to kick your ass.
I
Because
know.
I'm from Brooklyn and that's very natural for me. So I stay in character on that one.
Let's just say that the feedback from last class was, hey, let's try to find a better way other than becoming violent with ChatGPT. That's the better way. All right. The other thing is branches. Branches is something that I recently discovered with ChatGPT. You can have a conversation with ChatGPT, and while you're having a conversation with ChatGPT, maybe you want to ask it to do something different in a different window, but you don't want it to necessarily lose all of the all of the conversation and the history in that one conversation. So you can click on the three dots after the conversation, and then you click on branching a new chat. And what that's going to do is it's basically going to duplicate the whole conversation into a different window. And then you can have two separate conversations about the same exact topic. Okay. That's called branches. And you just go to the three dots like it shows here, and then branch in a new chat. It literally just opens a new window, and then you have two separate or the same conversation, but in two different windows. So you can ask it to do different things.
Digital schizophrenia.
Digital schizophrenia. Okay, see, I'm going to talk to you about that one. Okay. The other one is thinking mode. Okay. If you go to your ChatGPT, you can put it in thinking mode. But now, when you put it on thinking mode, I'm going to move my camera here so everybody can see it. You can ask it to think for an extended period of time or keep it at a standard period of time. So you have to actually have the ability, if you click on thinking, to ask it to think for a little longer to give you a better answer, if you will. Okay. Same thing. That's something that we recently discovered as ChatGPT 5 came up. There's new things coming up all the time. Okay. The other thing is connectors. Connectors, we talked about it briefly last time. We talked about how you can connect it with different apps, right? You can connect it with your Google Drive. You can connect it with your email. You can connect it with different things. It's nice because if you connect it with your Google Drive, for example, within ChatGPT, you can ask it, hey, can you pull up all the presentations that I have where I mention AI? And then it thinks for a little bit and it gives you that. If you connect it to your email, for example, you can ask it, hey, has Scott missed any leads today? And then he'll check his email and tell me, yeah, as a matter of fact, he missed these 3 leads. And then we can yell at him for missing the leads. Things like that. We can ask it to, give me 2 versions of a response within ChatGPT without me having to click outside of ChatGPT and go into my Google Drive and go into my Gmail account and go into all those things. We're actually very excited about connectors today because we have 2 accounts. We have a personal account, which it's the Wild West, is the account that you probably, that you get. And we also have our corporate account, which is where we can upload tax returns and upload everything from, every client. And our corporate account is a lot more
robust.
Yeah, there's not a lot of connections that we can have in the corporate account. Well, they allow us to put the Outlook calendar and our Outlook and our Teams account there too. So anyways, connectors is really good. To go to connectors, you're going to go to your name. Then you're going to go to settings and connectors. And once you're in connectors, is where you have a list of the apps that you can basically connect your ChatGPT to those apps. Now, if you want to take it to the next level, you're going to scroll down and you're going to go to advanced settings. And in those advanced settings, you have to turn on developer mode. If you turn on developer mode on the advanced settings of the connector, is going to allow ChatGPT to interact at a much higher level with those apps. And it's going to allow you to ask it to do a lot more than your typical, that the way that the apps come in all packaged. I know this because, like I said, we have our personal account and then we have our corporate account. Our corporate account does not let us get into developer mode. The personal account allows us to do that. And through the personal account, we can ask it to do a lot more within those apps than we can if we don't have the developer mode. The other thing that I'm teasing here too is something called Rube. Ruby is nice because Ruby is basically a separate, basically app store that exists for ChatGPT. Now, this is outside of ChatGPT, but it's free. You can create an account on something called Rube, and basically, if you did the connector, you went to advanced setting, and you said that yes, you want to be in developer mode. Now this works as what's that website that allows you to connect one website to? It's like a Zapier for ChatGPT. So now you have a list of apps that you can connect with your ChatGPT, and you can personalize it as long as you have the developer mode turned on. Okay, any questions on this?
Can you say that again?
No. Any questions on this?
So this connects to like my CRM pretty.
It could connect to your if the CRM is there. I mean, it's an app store, if you will. I don't know how
Yeah, your CRM would
your
need,
CRM is, but a Salesforce and things like that, for example, you can look for them there, pick it, and then you can basically connect it directly to ChatGPT, and you can make it to the next level and create a custom GPT that connects to this.
and I'm familiar with that CRM. I'd be surprised if they don't have the API that's needed. API is what you want to ask them for. Do they have an API for ChatGPT?
Just go to Rube
Yeah, I'd expect the answer yes.
and look
search
for it. What's nice about Rube is Rube acts as basically the interconnection of all these different apps. So once you connect it to different apps, you can, within just one custom GPT or within one chat, you can ask it to go to multiple things. And through Rube, it goes to your CRM, it goes to your Gmail. It can pull information from the CRM and then create an email and send it to Gmail. Like, it can do all of those things. Okay, so, but make sure that you have your developer mode turned on in order to be able to connect it to more than just, the handful of apps that ChatGPT comes with.
And to kind of piggyback off something Adam said, like, think of a scenario on this. I mean, we're not talking about this particular GPT in the class today, but think of a scenario where you have a conversation with the client, AI grabs a transcript, extracts certain data, logs into your CRM, updates the field and drops the transcript, like summarizes the transcript and drops it in the person's contact. And it's all happening behind the scenes. All you're doing is talking on the phone. Like, that's the type of things I want you guys to start thinking about, because that's where you could double your productivity. And frankly, we could all double our effectiveness for $20 a month. And I don't know any other way where we could make that big of an impact for that little.
Good.
It's never more than that. Just $20.
Well, it could be more. There's another one that's $200 a month. But start with
That.
we have the corporate one, which we
Probably
pay
more.
less, but it's
There's the enterprise one, get 3 people for $30 a month.
Yeah, I don't see a need for anybody in this room, including us, to need the $200 one. The $200 a month one is for people that are using ChatGPT to like build apps and things like that. That they're using it as differently than we are, like a much higher level.
okay. All right, projects. Projects is cool because if you think about it, the way that most people use ChatGPT is you create a new chat every single time that you want to have ChatGPT do something for you, right? We talked about the custom GPTs last time, which is great. Those are ones that are created by somebody else. Today, we're going to show you how to create one. But in projects, you can basically give as much context as you want to ChatGPT and then create different conversations within that project so that all of the conversations that you put in that project have that context. Think about something like this. You can create a project called organization or PPR or whatever company, and you can put who the important people, everybody's important, but who the main people in the company are, who the organization, like who does what in that organization. And then now ChatGPT within that project is going to have all of what they need in order for you to, once you go in and you create a chat within that project and you say, hey, I want to send an email to this person. ChatGPT knows what their rank in the organization is and is going to change the language and the way that it's going to write that email based on that rank. The other thing that you can do, we have one, for example, for compliance rules. We have one for marketing materials, color schemes and things like that, where we have a project created that we need to have the ECOA symbol, for example, that we need to have all of the disclaimers, that we need, what are the colors of our company, what are the things that we can say and we can't say, all of those different things. And then once we go into that project and we create a chat and we ask it to create marketing materials, or we have questions about marketing materials and things like that, is going to have all of that context that we already gave it without us having to start from the beginning.
So think of projects as categories of your life, right? Both professional and personal. Okay, you could have a project for family stuff, right? Put in the name of your spouse, your children, whatever. Another project for marketing, another project for like inter-office communication. Let's say you work with a lot of investors, you could have another project for investors, and you feed it all of the context. So then when you communicate with that, it has all that in there. Otherwise, if it's a new chat, it doesn't have all that background context and you won't get consistency. Projects are the key to consistency.
Yeah, it helps you get organized within your ChatGPT because you can create different chats within different projects, and it gives you that context to something that maybe you're going to keep going back and ask different questions. The way to create a project and the way to do a project is you're going to have a little folder that's going to be called new project. We have real estate, we have personal, we have fitness ones where, you know, we put in like all the goals and pictures and things like that. And then I can ask for things like, you know, I want meals or goals or workout plans and things like that, and just has all the context that it needs to give me, you know, the answer that I want tailored to me. So you go to new project. After you go to new project, the key is you want to go to the 3 dots, and then in the 3 dots, you're going to give it instructions, and you're also able to add different files to the project. This is important. Add files to the project. If you have a paid membership, you can add up to 25 files, I believe, into each single project. So, you know, think about if you have, for example, some, you know, real estate portfolio. You can have a project for each house that you own or each house that an investor of yours owns. And then you can ask questions about that particular listing or that particular house. And it has all the listing information, the listing presentation. It has everything that it needs to do to give you a proper answer based on that project and the information that you're giving it. But make sure that you leverage the instructions and you upload files to each project.
So I have, or we have in the marketing folder, we have all of the RESPA laws uploaded there as a file. So all of the rules that you guys have to follow, let's say for marketing, you could upload all that, so all those files into the project. It'll read it and just become an expert on the knowledge. And then everything it spits out will be compliant and in accordance with the files you've uploaded.
And again, it also helps you keep your ChatGPT organized, because otherwise you just have, you know, a million chats on the left, and it's just hard to keep them together. And it gives more, like I said, it gives more information to more context to ChatGPT beyond just the personal context that you give it when you personalize the chat. Yes.
So you can have 25 projects at a time. So
No, you can upload 25 documents
to each project,
each
and you
project.
can have unlimited projects.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would. I mean, I would
100%.
I would have a project that's listing presentation. Like before you get a listing, with like your color scheme, your logo, the way that you like your picture, the way that you like to create the listing presentation, connect it to maybe a Google Drive with an example of what the listing presentation should look like and everything, and then just, you know, create a project based on that.
Have another project that's listing descriptions. And every time you get a new listing, you go into the listing description and you tell the listing description, this is how I like my descriptions written. Here's 5 examples I've recently done, right? Or swipe and adapt. If you see somebody else's description that you think are better than yours, hey, here's an example of the way I want the descriptions written. So then you get a listing, you go in there and it writes a description for you. And even if it's not perfect, it'll get more perfect over time, but you're 90, 98% there in a couple of seconds.
Like one thing that we do is we have a project with everybody in the team. And in the things that we have is their disc profile, right? So it has a lot of context on everybody in the team. And when I want to send an email or want to send a text message or we want a script or somebody in the team is asking us questions about how they should talk to a client or something like that, because the project already has the context of who the person in the team is, what motivates them, what doesn't motivate them, and all the things that the disc profile gives us, we can just go in the project, ask the question that we have based on the particular person in the team, and it just gives us an answer that's a lot more tailored to that person than if we didn't put it within the project. And that's something that I'm not going to put in my personalized ChatGPT, because I don't want his disc profile to be in my personalized ChatGPT, because if I ask any other question, I don't want him, like his personality, to be taken into consideration when they're answering the questions to me. But if I put it in a project, but if I put it in a project, you can do that.
All right,
Does that make sense? Yes.
ChatGPT, you have all these projects, different ones loaded in. You just ask the question in ChatGPT and reference these projects, or you actually have to go into the project?
You go into the project.
Into the
So each project is a different little bubble of context. So you can go into the project, and then, you know, now you have all the context within that project. Now, when you open a project, you can pick if you want the project to have access to the memory outside of the project, or not have access to the memory outside of the project, and just work completely like as a separate entity, if you will. Projects, we use it for everything. Yes.
I don't know if I'm skipping ahead, but I took a class on this about a month or two ago. So on your listing descriptions, you can have it describe the home in different modes. So you have like an engineer CPA description. So if you get the very analytical people, you can send them that description. Or if you have people that are funny, slapstick funny, serious, near my neighbors, it'll automatically like revise that description. So when you send it to them, they're more.
Yeah, we also have personal, like the buyer profiles, right? A first-time home buyer versus somebody that's buying a luxury property versus somebody that's an investor, you know, something like that as well. Okay, cool. So that's projects. All right, then custom GPTs. Custom GPTs is basically the same thing, where you have a lot of context. You give a lot of context to a ChatGPT, but the way to think about it is we're going to use projects when we want to give context to ChatGPT, and we're going to have different conversations within that context that we gave it. With a custom GPTs, we have basically somebody that's going in one lane, and we want ChatGPT to have detailed instructions and to know exactly what to do when we ask it to do something. And then we can keep going back to ChatGPT, to that custom GPT, but to do that one single thing. Okay.
And we're going to share with you we're going to share with you 7 of the ones we built, so you can see it in action.
But how you create a custom GPT is you're going to go to the GPTs. There's going to be just below new chat, library, search. There's going to be an option that says GPTs. And then you're going to type into the little hourglass where you can like look for different GPTs. You're going to look for one that's called GPT Builder. The one that we like is the second one here, not the first one. Now, basically what we're doing here is we're not trying to figure out on our own how to create the perfect GPT to do one set of instructions. We're basically asking ChatGPT how to create a custom GPT within ChatGPT. And somebody created a custom GPT to help us do that. So again, we go into GPTs, we go into the hourglass, we type GPT Builder, and then a GPT Builder chat is going to come up. That GPT Builder chat is where you're going to say, hey, I would like ChatGPT to do these steps every single time that I ask it to do something. One that we use, for example, is, you know, every time that we put a description or the transcript of a conversation, I want you to summarize it. I want you to write the text message to the client. I want you to give me feedback on what the disc profile of the client was. I want you to do all these things. Then ChatGPT is going to tell me exactly what instructions I need to put into the GPT Builder so that it does exactly what I want it to do.
Now let me speak to all the other people in the room who's also look at Edgardo and think he's young enough to be, he could be my child. Okay. I think I built the first one. I built the first GPT for the team. And I want you to know, when I was going into this, this was
hours.
Greek. I had no idea. So I started the prompt off with, I'm an idiot. Treat me like a 5-year-old. I have no idea what I'm doing here. And it kept giving me instructions that I couldn't follow. And I kept screenshotting the screen. Like, this is what I'm seeing. What are you talking about? And it's like, yeah, see on the top where you clicked on this, you should have clicked on that. But I went back and forth with it for, I don't know, a few hours, 2-3 hours over the course of a weekend with it. I share that with you because I don't want you to think you need to really understand it to start doing it. Like, it will do it for you. You just need to be very humble and tell it, I am clueless. Where do I start?
Well, this is going to save you time, right? Because you're not
That's
figuring it out on
necessary.
your own. You're going to ChatGPT. It's going to tell you exactly what to write in ChatGPT. Then you're going to go back to the GPTs. And instead of typing things there, you're going to go to the right corner where it says create. You're going to click on create. And once you click on create, it's going to look like this. Now, Scott had to tell ChatGPT how much of an idiot he is because he was on configure instead on create. So make sure that when this opens, you are on the create side of things, not on the configure side of things. And this is where you're just going to paste that description that the GPT, the custom GPT builder gave you. Okay. So again, first step is you go to projects, you type custom GPT, you click on custom GPT, you say, hey, GPT, I want to create a GPT that does this. Just dream there. It's going to tell you, okay, the best way to create it is to copy and paste this into the create. You're going to copy, then you're going to go into GPT, create, make sure that you're on create and paste it here. And just let it do its thing. It's even going to create a little picture, a symbol. It's going to title the custom GPT the way that it should be titled. You can change everything, but it's going to give you basically everything you need to just use it right away. Once you're done with the create, you can look into the configure and it tells you, it basically gives you the way that the create understood how to configure that GPT for the GPT to work the way that you want it to work. Now, once you're done with this, you can go into the right side and test it out. You can write, okay, please do this. And then it's going to give you the answer. And basically, this is where, based on what you put here, this GPT that you created is going to give you the feedback. And if you don't like the feedback, you go back to create and you go, hey, I really hated the way that you did this, or you didn't really give me the right information, change it for this. And it's going to change it automatically in the configure page. You can try it again until it's perfect. The key here is ask it questions on how to improve it. Okay, don't try to figure it out on your own, because ChatGPT is going to do a better job than we are at figuring it out. So once you're done with it, you can copy and paste the answer and go, how can I make this GPT better? What are the suggestions to do this better? And he will do it, and he will auto configure it. And I promise you the answer is going to be much better than your first try. The other thing here is this is also going to give you the opportunity to upload files. Okay, so you can upload files there to give it more context. Yes.
So you kind of give it a general overview of how to create ChatGPT. Or the sales coach here. Are you going to give us some examples of like what you guys have created?
100%. It's the second half of the class, yeah.
I'm going to give you 7.
So
Yes.
basically, you can do a first-time buyer from your initial conversation, what to text, after the initial conversation, how to follow up with the first-time buyer, and give you a timeline as to what steps I need to take with each particular guy.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
And then you could have it log into your CRM or your calendar and schedule the things to be done for you.
Yeah.
Like it could literally almost do anything you could think of.
We want to show you how to do it first, so then we can show you the ones that we've done, and then maybe the ones that we've done connect with you and you go, perfect, I'm going to steal that. Or maybe you go, I want to steal that, but I want to do it differently. And this is how you do it.
Yes.
My question is kind of off.
Perfect.
You mentioned this about any of all of your more reps that were testing for this?
Yeah, everybody we hire.
When somebody gets hired, we do a disc assessment. In fact, we've not hired people over disc assessments. If you're the perfect candidate,
And it
if
says
like I'm
psychopath,
not hiring
we don't
you.
hire you.
But not only do we do that, the ChatGPT can assess somebody's disc profile just by reading a transcript or listening to a conversation.
And then based on what,
It's set up like that.
yeah.
If I sent you a buyer, right, and you're on the phone with the buyer, and you're talking to them, and
Yeah, so
and then
ChatGPT will tell us that, and then every message that ChatGPT is supposed to send the client, that we're supposed to send the client, it will translate it into their disk, not our disk. because it turns out not everybody likes to be spoken to the way that I like to be spoken to, or the way that Scott likes to be spoken to. So it basically translated into what personality ChatGPT thinks the person has based on their disc.
Look, this is the platinum rule, right? The golden rule is treat others how you want to be treated. The platinum rule is treat others how they want to be treated. And everybody speaks differently. Their personality is different. You know, you're going to speak to a 50-year-old guy from Brooklyn like me differently than a 65-year-old woman from Ohio.
Yeah, you gotta be loud with him.
It's just a different. Yeah, be loud with me. I like it more if you curse. Like, I trust you more if you curse. It's a very weird thing. But in all seriousness, to be able to, and this is one of the most powerful things from a sales standpoint with this, is the ability to customize the communications to the person, to the recipient, at an infinite level is mind-blowing, because I can't do that. I mean, I know enough sales psychology that I could get closer, but I can't do it anywhere close as well as it can do it.
Okay, so that's how to create the custom GPTs. The other thing that we talked about was deep research and study and learn. You open a ChatGPT, you can go to the plus sign, and then you have deep research. Use this deep research. Deep research is basically asking ChatGPT to start acting at a PhD level of everything you ask it to do, you ask it to learn. For example, when the Big Beautiful Bill came out, we asked it to become an expert on the Big Beautiful Bill and how that's going to change the IRS laws, and how that's going to change mortgages, and how that's going to change things like cost segregation analysis and things like that. Why? Because I don't have the time. I don't want to spend the time doing that. What we do is we go about our day. We ask it to do something. We put it in deep research. It's going to take a little longer. Now, we're used to now for ChatGPT to take 2 minutes doing things, 30 seconds doing things. This is going to take 7 minutes, which feels like an eternity. Sometimes it takes 30 minutes. But I promise you, the level of answers that you're going to get, it's so much better. What we do is we put it in deep research. We had a couple of issues with some properties, for example. I had some issues with a client of mine that has some problems with the engineering reports on some properties, and wasn't sure if the property was going to be stable or not. I have no idea about that. I just plugged it in here, put it on deep research, ask it to make sure that we have the right questions to ask the engineers. And it took about 35 minutes, but after 35 minutes, it was able to give us, with, you know, a lot more educated way than I would have, the follow-up questions for the engineers, the area of concern, the area that maybe my client was concerned that he shouldn't have been concerned, and all those different things. So just think of, hey, what do I need to research? Ask it, and then just go off about your day.
And let me give you like a couple super real world examples. Let's say,
well, that was a super real world example.
Right. Okay. Let me give you other real world examples. But let's say you guys want to grow your social media presence or your YouTube presence or something like that. It can do research like, hey, research all of the top YouTube accounts that are mentioned from real estate agents. Watch all of the videos, read all the transcripts, read all the comments, figure out. Now, you're thinking billions of videos. Figure out the common thread of what's working, and then build out a plan for me, including all the scripting and cadence and everything else. Or, hey, I want to work with, there's a lot of people migrating here from New York City. Okay, I want to work with people that are migrating here from New York City. Do a deep research on how many people are coming here from New York City, what's causing them to come here, where are they starting their search, how are they picking their real estate agents, and what I could do to grow my business more in this segment. Like anything like that, like its ability to scan, it reads the internet, like all of it. So just keep like try to understand the scope of it. It's mind blowing.
On the disc profile side, what we did is I wasn't gonna become an expert on disc profile because I don't want to. So what we did is we put it on deep research. We ask it, hey, I need you to become an expert on this profile because based on your expertise, we're going to ask you to do some things as custom GPTs and things like that. We put it as deep research. We ask it to become an expert on this profile. It took 7 minutes and 50 seconds, which is an outrageous amount of time for ChatGPT. And then now we have our expert on this profile. And then we go back to this chat that we have every time that we want to create something that has to do with this profile, and we ask it. So use the deep research and the study and learn. We use it all the time. Okay, AI agents. You want to talk about
This
AI
is my
agents?
baby.
Quick.
All right, so think of AI agents as using AI with the ability to log into websites and extract data or enter data. So any website you log into on a regular basis, okay, we're going to go ahead and pull it, and we're going to go ahead and build a custom GPT that does that. A custom GPT is a one-trick pony. All right, so we have a bunch of them. We're going to go over 7 with you today, but it's a one-trick pony. So, hey, every time I plug in an address, I want you to log into lipa.org. All right, I want you to click here, then here, then here, then here, then here. I want you to pull up the tax bill, give it to me in both an annual and a monthly figure. Then I want you to click here and here and here and tell me what the spread is between the taxable value and the assessed value. And if the tax, if
Which
the
you guys all do
Yeah.
right now.
If-
But instead of having to do it, you can ask ChatGPT to do it for you.
And if the assessed
Obviously.
value is more than 15% above the taxable value, I want you to click on here, type in the tax estimator, and go ahead and give me that annual figure and monthly figure as well. And seconds. That's a GPT build. It's a custom GPT through GPT build.
This is the AI agent.
Yeah, so look at this. This is logging into one of the softwares we're using. Okay, this is building out an appreciation calculator. And this is, I'm just watching it. This is literally what's on the screen. So it's doing the forecasted appreciation rate and the historical. It plugged in the address and spit out the report. And then when I go in, it saved it under the client's name. And then when I, no idea
just
what that
keep
is.
talking. Just keep talking.
When I went in there and clicked on clients, it was in there and complete. Seconds. So you take an hour to build it, right? Like think of how many websites we all log into on a regular basis. Every one of them should be, not only can be, but should be a custom GPT.
And you can schedule it to do things. So if there's things that you do on a weekly basis or you want it to do on a weekly basis, you can go and schedule it to do this thing every week or every month or whatever.
I know of an agent that has his GPT, hey, scan online for new listings for me. Every time it finds a new listing, create a social media post and then monitor the comments from the post. All right, and anything that sounds like a potential lead, text their comment to me along with their contact information. And it just, like he built that thing once. And every time a listing goes live, you get that operates.
And even simple things like the appreciation calculator that we have. Every single time that a client wants to look at a property, we go through the appreciation calculator. We give them an idea of how the house is going to appreciate, even if they're just first-time home buyers, because that's part of buying a house, right? We want to show them what we expect, what we've expected historically, what our forecasted appreciation is. It takes time. If you have 10 people trying to put offers and those 10 people, because they're working with a net, they want to look at 5 different properties, then we have to go 5 different times with 10 people, it's 50 people. We can just have the AI agent do that, and I don't have to hire somebody else to work for a net.
I'm going to click. You've been talking too much. All right, let's go over the 7 GPTs that we're going to go over with you really quick. The conversation converter GPT. We're going to go over the the call fees for closes, the Matrix Family Office Autopilot Pipeline Manager, and the Swipe Right GPT. So
He's a terrible driver.
yeah, drive. I'll
Thank
talk.
you.
All right, on the screen, a part of the screen, you're going to see these GPTs actually working while I'm describing what it is. Okay, the problem with the conversation, the problem that led to this GPT being built is people's notes sucked. Okay, everybody, if you work with the team or you guys have admin that helps you, whatever it is, okay, your transaction coordinators, notes historically suck. I'm busy, I'm rushed, I forget what I said. All of those things go on. So what we do is we take our transcript, we dump it into this custom GPT, and we've told it in advance. Again, we want the disc profile. This is the exact format I want the notes to come in. Let's create complete consistency. And let's say you build in 6 months later, you want the format change, you go into the GPT, change it once. So this thing spits out perfect notes every single time, exactly the same format. It auto-generates the next steps. It'll literally extract from the transcript, like, hey, by the way, make sure you follow up with this client after closing because her taxes are going to go up a lot next year. That seems to be a heavy focal point of your conversation. All right, and then we have somebody on the team that takes those and puts them into tasks, or we could have ChatGPT go into the CRM and build out the task. In our world, we have some compliance firewalls that we got to deal with that limits us sometimes. So, well, it goes breaking things. So that is the conversation converted GPT.
What's cool about it is, you know, if there's something that you keep forgetting all the time, it will prompt you to say, hey, you didn't talk about this in the conversation, and your processor or your underwriter or whatever really likes when you put this. So then before you send the file or before somebody in the team sends the file, it prompts us to call the client again and ask that question that we forgot. Yes.
understand, are you putting this in a project?
No, this is a custom
This is
GPT.
custom
These are
GPTs that
all,
we
we're talking
create.
about custom GPTs for the rest of our time together.
Yeah.
This is all custom GPTs. It lives inside ChatGPT.com.
Yeah, you create a custom GPT. You'll see when you
Yeah.
when you look at the recording and how to create it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is separate than the, like, maybe that buyer's page.
No.
Yeah, on the left-hand side, it'll say GPTs, and underneath it will be all the GPTs you built.
You can call it whatever you want, but you'll see when you revisit the slides. Okay. The other one we did is the Coffees for Closure GPT. The Coffees for Closure GPT is basically a sales coach. This sales coach, what it does is it reviews the script, same thing, the different conversations. There's 5 conversations that we have with a client during our process. We have very, very specific influence objective that we want to achieve during those conversations. And what it does is it basically gives us a lot of feedback on what we did right and what we didn't do right. One thing that apparently I do all the time, which Scott would love to tell you that he taught me how to do this.
This drove me nuts. So, question for you, by the way, before I do that, how many people here have recorded themselves talking to clients and listened to the feedback? Okay, so I don't want to speak for you. First off, everybody should do that. And none of us sound as good as we think we do. I definitely did not sound as good as I think I do. Now, I'm not making complete rookie mistakes. Like the first one of his that we ran into here, it said, hey, you did a really good job getting the commitment at the end. There was a contract call, but you should have gotten a bunch of micro commitments all along the way, which, by the way, sales 101, right? Get the head bobbing up and down as early as possible. You should have asked for a bunch of micro commitments along the way, because the micro commitments make the big ask at the end easier to obtain. And here's 7 spots where you could have done that.
And it changes the script. Like, this is what you said. This is a better way to do it. And it does it in a very nice way. It doesn't go, this idiot is doing this, and I told him, no, it's like, hey, you did a fantastic job with this, good job, blah, 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 but this is an up level for you. This is something that has created a different culture in our branch where everybody has to record their conversations, put the script in the conversation, put everything in the conversation in here, and basically send it to us.
And
the other thing is
it grades everybody too.
Yeah.
And so it keeps a running tally of their grades. So we could go back every other week, sit down teammate by teammate, and go, hey, man, your score dropped from a 8.6 to a 7.4 because of A, B, C, and D. What happened?
And we have a constant feedback loop on how well we're doing in different conversations, which is...
And we use it for ourselves as well.
Yeah, because, again, if you start recording yourself and start listening to yourself, it's crazy, the stupid stuff that comes out of the mouth of all of us. Sometimes it's crazy how we keep talking through the cell, and it's like, dude, shut up. You already said yes. Yes. So we all have iPhones because we believe in freedom and so the iPhone has the ability to just record every conversation. So we just ask clients, we're like, hey, we want to be super present in this conversation. Like, we don't want to be taking notes. So I want to just focus on you. Is it okay if I record this conversation? I'm going to be able to, based on this, based on the transcript, I'm going to be able to give you a better follow-up and pass this along to the processors. And
there's also something called Plaud, Plaud. It's $150. Okay, it magnetically attaches to the back of your phone. Has a little button on here that records it. That'll record it. Now, everybody check with compliance and the laws and all that crap. I'm not telling you what to or not to do. I'm just saying this product exists and it happens to be in my pocket.
Even for the other person on the other side?
It transcribes. The thing is, my understanding, I'm not a lawyer, please consult an attorney.
We gotta
all right, we gotta move on. Okay.
We gotta change that scripting. The iPhone has a little thing that will tell the client that you're recording them. Plaud is just a different alternative, but let's not talk about Plaud. Was that? Yeah, we just upload the transcript.
Just copy and paste.
Freaking Plaud. The Matrix GPT. The Matrix GPT is where we basically uploaded every single one of our SOPs into a custom GPT, and we said, hey,
this is the guidelines.
Oh, this is the guidelines. Never mind. So this one is where we put every single guideline that we have, not only from just the regular loans, conventional FHA and things like that, but also all the non-conforming loans we have. We have different loans like no income loans, doctor loans we're talking about today. The hometown hero is, now came in with a different set of guidelines. And it's hard for all of us to keep up and to ask the team to keep up with all these different loans, right? Like we have now the ability to do land loans and manufacturer loans on single wide properties, like all this weird stuff that we may not do all the time. So we just created a custom GPT that's basically a master underwriter. And when we encounter a topic or a loan that we don't know how to approach it, we just ask ChatGPT, hey, this is the scenario I have, and it tells us exactly which investor can do it. It also creates an email to the underwriter on how to better put the deal together, and it gives us the account rep and who do we need to call in case we have any follow-up questions.
So we uploaded thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of documents. Like it's probably 8,000 if I was to guess. The FHA underwriting manual is 4,000 pages. So we were able to upload thousands of pages, and in a few minutes, it had all of them memorized.
Yeah, the first time I used it, he came to me and he's like, hey, somebody in the team, shout out to Tori, created this. And he's like, try it out. And I'm like, I'm about to decline a loan. It's your loan, not your personal loan, but one of his clients. I put in the situation and it just said, hey, there's this investor that does it. This is how you can do it. These are the guidelines. This is the minimum credit score. This is everything. And we were able to save the deal. We closed it 30 days later.
And we were
in a normal world, I would have said no to that client. Like every other lender said no to that client.
Ed is just learning now that he was 30 seconds away from getting a phone call to deny the clients. But it's just, and again, like apply that to your world. Like what would you like memorized?
Well, have you had any changes in guidelines lately in the real
estate
world?
Yeah.
Right? Like you can plug it in and like it will tell you all of that. All right. The family office GPT.
Things that's going to happen with upfront MXC that would you, does this automatically capture that information?
No. So every quarter we have somebody in the team re-upload the guidelines because they change quite a bit, right? So every quarter somebody goes in and re-upload the guidelines because we want to stay on top of it. Yeah, we update it. We update it quarterly. Okay, the family office GPT is one of those that it's really good. It's not exactly directly mortgage related, but it's the one that have saved us, a lot of that have bought us a lot more loyalty for our client. The family office GPT, what it does is we ask the custom GPT to become an expert on everything that has to do with taxes, the big beautiful bill, IRS, things like that. We ask it to become an expert on estate law. We ask it to become an expert on all these different things other than just mortgages. And what we do is we plug in our client situation into this and ask it to give a holistic approach to the whole purchase scenario, even if they're not investors. I put my situation here, and this is what I learned. I was selling a house and buying another house with a 1031 exchange, which, I thought that I was being cool because I know what a 1031 exchange is and I'm going to save some money on taxes. I plugged in my scenario here, and what it said was a couple of things. It said, good job doing 1031 exchange because ChatGPT is nice. It always gives you a good job first. Then it also says, hey, by the way, instead of just doing the 1031 exchange and saving the money here, with the purchase that you're having on your next house, you can do a cost segregation analysis. If you do a cost segregation analysis, which is going to cost you anywhere between $3,000 and $5,000, that cost segregation analysis can take away $100,000 or $120,000 in first year depreciation. And because of the big beautiful bill, you can take 100% depreciation now. And I went, okay, this is interesting. Say more. It says, the other thing that you can do is you have another property that you never did a cost segregation analysis, and with this big beautiful bill, you can take 100% depreciation even though you didn't do it in years past. So I was able to do the cost segregation analysis for 2 properties and save about $180,000 in income taxes on that. Now, what gets interesting is I asked, okay, well, what's the best way to maximize this? And he said, well, you can either have the savings, or what you can do is you also have some old 401ks that turn into an IRA. You can do a rollover into a Roth IRA, and now all of that is not taxed, and the growth into that Roth IRA, it's going to be on tax too. Guys, like that is a high level of advice that this was able to give me. And I would argue that I know a little bit more than most people about these things. And it was like, I didn't even see those options. It was able to give me that. And if you use it for your clients, you now are not only saving your clients a lot more money than just the purchase and the sell, but in addition to that, now you also have to talk to the cost segregation analysis person. So it's a good referral person for you because you can refer them as well. And you can talk to the accountant too.
And a cost segregation analysis, just so everybody's on the same page with us, instead of depreciating your real estate over 27 and a half years, which is the IRS, you could take a huge chunk of that depreciation year one. Okay. And the way I want you guys to think about this is the tool that enables Ed and I to give stratospherically high level advice, right? Like I could talk about 1031s. Now, the other thing that's interesting about this is the humility that goes with it. I know I keep bringing that up, but it's so prevalent. I've known about cost segregation analyses for a long time. I also knew incorrectly that it's only for commercial real estate. That is not correct. So I had not taken the advice for my own real estate portfolio. He had not taken the advice for his, nor had we provided that advice to all of our clients. Now, I would still put the advice we've given without this against anybody's. But with this, you're able to provide such a high level of advice to people. Such a high level of advice to people.
Think about it. You do something like this with the cost segregation analysis. You save your client $65,000 in real cash for the IRS. That's $65,000. And now that person, if they want to do it again, they need to buy another property. Again, you guys, specifically you guys are seen as the quarterback of everything that has to do with real estate. Okay? Like you need to be experts, not really, but you need to know experts and have access to experts when it comes to lending, inspections, title, when it comes to, taxes. Like you're not doing the lender's job. In many cases, I know you are, but you shouldn't be doing the lender's job, but you need to have enough knowledge of all of these different things because you're quarterbacking the transaction. This allows you to be a much better quarterback. And now with that information, you can send it to all those different providers and go, hey, this is what I got. Can you verify that this will work for this person's situation? This has been huge for our business.
Yeah, this is one of the GPTs that just converts clients for us. Because all of a sudden I'm talking to clients, they're like, wait, I've spoken to 9 people, nobody's talked to me about that. I'm like, yeah, and by the way, this is a good scripting to use. I know that there's about 50 other things that I'm not going to share with you right now. I'll share with you throughout the process. Because you always want to get people thinking, what else am I going to miss if I don't work with this person? That should be a key influence objective.
And if you get in the painful habit of recording every single conversation, you can plug it here and then it gives it more context about the client. It's good. Okay. The FSD GPT, that's the one?
Yeah.
Okay. So this one is, we plugged in all of our SOPs from the time that...
Let me take this. This is my thing.
I mean, I created this one, but okay.
Look, what has always been said in real estate and mortgages is that you can't standardize things because every deal is different. And I just accepted that as the truth because when I was 19 years old and I got into the business, yeah, that's what everybody told me. He got into the business, that's what I told him. But then one day, and I'll give him the credit for it, he was like, is it true? And I'm like, well, yeah, it is. And he's like, okay, why? And so we started to think the truth is there's a finite number of buyer profiles, right? There's a finite number of occupancies. There's a finite number of objections. So we took the time, and this is a project, we took the time to write out every scenario, every objection, and what our responses would be. And we used ChatGPT to help us with those responses. And we created this document that's, 60, 70 pages long. That literally, when this happens, this is what we do with the CRM. These are the notes we make. This is our response. Here's ideas to fix the problem. Here's potential solutions, all of that. And then we uploaded that document into this GPT. So now,
this is the text in English. This is the text in Spanish. This is the script after the client missed the first call. This is how we're going to introduce our processor. This is because we want to standardize everything. Why? Because as we get busier, we can hire other people, hire more people, and they can get plugged in without taking time away from us. They can just ask the GPT. And what it does is this works 24/7, so they don't need to ask us questions. They ask ChatGPT first, so they can work on their time all the time. And the other thing that it helps us do is we created a rule in the team that if they have any questions about absolutely anything, they need to go to this GPT first, ask the question. And if they're not happy with the answer, then they need to come to us with the answer that GPT gave it. And then we can work on having ChatGPT give them a better answer for next time. That way we only answer questions one time.
Yeah, I mean, you take the SOP manual for the company you work for, dump it into that, and you never have to ask somebody a question again because everything is in there. It's absolutely priceless. Can you make the video play or no?
I did, yeah. Watch your thoughts. Okay, Pipeline Manager GPT, as we have more loans, it's very hard to set up a meeting and know exactly who is going to do what from every single loan that we have, in your case, from every single listing and things like that. We just plug in the transcript from the pipeline meetings that we have, and the transcript is gonna convert it into telling us exactly which team member needs to do what and what's happening with every single loan. That way, if we miss a pipeline meeting, I can go into the last transcript, Pipeline Manager GPT, look at what it says, and if I get any questions, I know exactly where the loan is, and I know exactly what everybody should do based on this. This also sets reminder tasks for everybody, and this is how we start every pipeline meeting. So we went from having pipeline meetings 3 times a week to only 1 time a week thanks to this.
Yeah, another idea for you guys that is super applicable is every time you get a fully executed sales contract, you feed it into a custom GPT that you build, and it automatically extracts all of the key dates for you and drafts an email that goes out to all parties. All right, that goes out, because I have a couple of agents that I work with that they send these brilliant emails to, hey, title, here's your job and dates. Hey, buyers, here's your job and dates. Hey, lender, here's your job and dates, etc. But you could build a custom GPT that all you do is upload the sales contract, and it automatically breaks all that down for you and writes the emails and the text message reminders. You could have it log into your CRM and set the reminders like for yourself to follow up on. Anything like that, it could just spit out super easily. That's good. Yeah. All right. So we get leads all over the state, and we are looking for good buyers agents all over the state, as well as here locally, of course. And if you think about it from our standpoint, it's tough, right? Like, first we need to find somebody with a real estate license. Okay, that part's easy.
That part's easy.
Then we need to find somebody with a real estate license that does business. That gets harder. Then we need to find somebody with a real estate license that does business that uses loans. That gets even harder. Okay. Then we want somebody who does enough loans that I could do hopefully more than 1 loan a year with them. And then finally, you want people you like. You want people you want to work with. So I built this Swipe Right GPT that works like this. I plug in a city, Delray Beach. It automatically logs into a system called Redder that we use. Redder pulls up the production numbers of any realtor or lender in the country, which lender the realtor's using, dates of their closed transactions, all this great stuff.
We know everything.
Yeah, we know more than we should. So if you're cheating on us,
we get alerts.
But so it logs into Redder. I told her I want agents with at least 5 years in the business that do between 18 and 50 finance transactions a year in a particular price point. It logs into Redder, pulls up a list of agents, then takes those agents, goes into my social media, okay, scans their entire profile, every post they've ever made, every comment they've ever made, every hashtag they've ever used, and then spits out an Excel spreadsheet that says, hey, these agents are great. This guy here, Scott, is my first recommendation because James has been in the business 5 years. He did 37 finance transactions last year. His average price point is $415,000. He's also a big fan of woodworking, dogs, and shooting pool. I think you guys will really get along great. We could socialize. We could use AI to foster relationships, which is a very abstract concept, or at least it was for me when I first heard it. But I could now, what used to take me hours to do is done in seconds. It's done in 10 seconds. It is absolutely amazing. So think about that. If you're trying to think of a particular buyer profile that you're trying to go after, or a seller profile that you're trying to go after, you could have it log into social media and scan things to find people that not only would want to work with you, but might want to be friends with you that you'd really get along with. And again, this is all lead conversion.
And look, everybody's talking about like how, the use of AI and ChatGPT and all that makes us less human. And I have my pushback with this is I feel like I have more connections with people because of these things. One, it makes me think about what's the best way that they would like to hear me. Like, what's the best way to communicate with them, which is something that I wasn't thinking, I've been told before. Now I am thinking about these things. And the other thing is I'm more present than ever. I'm not trying to take notes. I'm not worrying about how I'm going to follow up. I'm not worried about trying to pick cues or anything like that. I'm just present on every single conversation. And the people I'm reaching out to are people that have at least the same interest in me. Like, this has helped my connection with people a lot more than a pre-AI world.
Yeah, it's, we don't think about it consciously very often, but how often are you listening versus waiting to speak? All right, and that's a subject I've studied a lot. The human brain, when you hear something that you want to respond to, your conscious brain doesn't want you to forget it. So it keeps it, like, you just start listening to start forming your response in your head. You're not listening to what the person's saying anymore. All of that is taken off of the table with this, because I know there's a bucket on the back end that's going to catch every single word, zero exceptions.
I have one that's called my communication chief, and it's just, that's one that I don't share with anybody. It's a private one that I don't share with the team or anybody. And it basically, I have everybody that I talk to in my life, in the team and things like that. And I can speak to it, whatever messaging I want to say. I think we said this in the last class, which is like, there's one that I'm like, hey, I'm really annoyed that you're, and I'm cursing and saying that you're not doing the right things in the CRM and whatever. And I say, hey, I want you to send this message to Scott, Tori, Heather, everybody in the team. And it literally creates different styles of the message according to everybody. With him, it keeps all the curse words. It says all the bad things. It makes it even worse. With Heather, for example, is like, hey, I know you're really trying. You're being amazing lately, but there's a couple of things. Like, just, it talks to the person the way that person likes to be spoken to. And yeah, Heather came to him and was like, oh my God, Ed writes the best emails and the best text messages. And he was laughing because he knows I haven't written a message in years.
I tried to keep a straight face, and after a couple of minutes, I burst out laughing. I go, that man hasn't written an email 2.5 years. You've never in your life read an email that he's written, ever.
It's true. So anyways, this is you.
All right, this is the up level trick that I talked about at the beginning. I think this is such a home run. So I know all but one of you don't have a team here. There is an opportunity for all of you, though, to have a virtual assistant on your team. You can hire full-time virtual assistants or part-time virtual assistants or 5-hour-a-week, whatever you want. Okay, and when we restructured our business, we first asked, what could AI do? Then what can AI plus a VA do? Then what can a VA do? And then finally, what could the team do? Okay, so there are lots of Uplift is one of them. There's lots of companies out there where you could hire virtual assistants. And if you wanted to have the virtual assistant take some of the transcripts and dump it into the GPT and then spit out the results or do data entry or anything else, all of that is there. There are still, like, can ChatGPT do every single thing a human could do? Not yet. I think it's closer than people think, but today, no. Okay, but the combination of AI and VAs is the biggest home run combination. And again, you could hire some VAs for $5 an hour, for 5 hours a week, or we have full-time ones that are $1,500 a month. Okay, but this is very, very inexpensive, an inexpensive way to get help. Now, I've listened to a lot of pushback from people on VAs and stuff. When you're bringing on a VA, you are bringing on an employee, you are bringing on a teammate. They require the time and the training and the thought and everything else that those things require, or build a custom GPT that tells them exactly what to do. The nice thing is we're looking to hire a couple of people. Outside of teaching them our loan origination software, which is firewalled and we can't connect to chat, we don't have to do any training. Every question you ask this GPT, all of it. And all the training is done. The scripting is done. And if they're recording the transcripts and ChatGPT is analyzing the transcripts, there's a constant feedback loop that it's being done well. So if you're going to bring on a VA, do this, set up the same type of system, okay? And now you can marry these two things together and you could take so much off of your plate, because here's the thing that's tough about both our businesses. You could come to work your tail off, put in a 60-hour week, and spend 3% of your time on money-making activities. Is that true?
And make nothing.
And make nothing. It's so brutal in this business. So, and the problem is, and the argument is, yes, Scott, but those things got to get done. You're right, they got to get done. I get it. Okay, all of that crap could be offloaded on AI or AI and VAs. And then all you do is deepen relationships with clients, stay in touch with your past clients, generate new clients, and pour into them. And to his point earlier, all of this junk being taken off our plate gives me more time. I can't tell you how many times I'm on the phone with somebody, okay, and I'm having a good conversation, but in the back of my mind, there's 43 other things. Like, I'm like, how long is this gonna last? I don't do that anymore. Like, hey man, you got time, we're in, let's talk. I'm good. Because all this other stuff that was being done by automations.
Yeah, he's golfing so much lately.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. But anyways, VAs. The question is always AI first. If the AI can't do it, can it do it with VAs? If the AI plus VAs can do it, we have the VAs do it. And that way we can basically have, you know, a much larger team than we actually have, do a lot more and missing a lot less leads. All right. We have a QR code here. Please scan the QR code. You'll get the slides from last presentation if you haven't gotten it yet. You'll get the recording from last presentation if you haven't gotten it yet. You'll get the slides from this presentation, the recording from this presentation, and you'll also get a little questionnaire. We're getting a lot of people asking us to help them set a lot of these prompts. You know, we've taught this class before, like the one that we taught prior to this one, where we had people do homework and nobody did the homework. So we're getting a lot of questions to help them, you know, do workshops. So we're thinking about creating one where, you know, we have a smaller group and we can help them one-on-one on at least getting set up and getting started. Because look, Scott is all and finished, and obviously it's very difficult for him to open Google Drive and to do anything that has to do with technology. And just being able to get him started made a big difference in your journey with ChatGPT.
Look, what I personally found with ChatGPT is I was completely overwhelmed going in. Okay, and then once I got in, it was smooth. So what we're thinking about doing, it'll be a paid thing, probably like $100 or $150 a person, doing like a small workshop where we're literally working one-on-one with a small group of people to actually help them get over that first hump to get things started.
Regardless, you'll get all of this though.
Yeah, all the rest of the stuff you're going to get. But I don't know. We don't know if there's going to be demand for that. You guys want it, you guys don't. Between here and online, there's 200 people watching this class, or 220 or something. So if there's sufficient desire for that, we'll put that together. So just the questionnaire, if you want it, just please give the answer, and then we'll follow up with you. I think we put yes online, yes in person, or no as the choices. So just let us know on that so we could get some feedback, because I understand how overwhelming it could be. And I felt that way. I'm like, this is going to make an enormous difference in my business and my life. And I don't know where to begin. Like I go onto ChatGPT and I look confused and I get annoyed and then I just go to something else. So anyway, just we're throwing an experiment out there to see how it works.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Thank you.
Thank you. Guys, thank you very much for coming today. Everybody online, thank you very much as well.